Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, I know we haven't been posting in a while, but that's because most of us are quite busy. Like currently, I'm away from Singapore. So here I have a box of Duelist Advance, which came out in OCG for quite a while, but I think it just came out here in 2nd July, I believe. So yeah, we're doing an opening because if in case you all didn't know, TCG and OCG boxes have some differences, I believe. I myself also not too familiar with the differences, so I'll find out with you all in this opening. They also give us two promos, which OCG we also had, but not these versions. So it's a gimmick puppet and a What Canceller. I think What Canceller is a different art. I believe TCG's art is supposed to be like a cross with a thunder striking through it. But yeah, seems like we get the OCG art now also, or not we as in the TCG people get the OCG art. So yeah, we're opening this box and let's see what we get. Right, so this is the box of cards. There are 24 packs inside. And I'm not sure about the rates. I don't know if it's a secret guaranteed per box or what. But as for the chase cards, I believe the prismatic will be Sky Striker Ring 0, the most expensive card inside. I mean, it was for the OCG. I believe it is for the TCG too. So my friends will be helping me open this box, so I'll be doing the voiceover commentary after that. I hope you enjoy.
Okay, so I'm gonna step in and talk about random stuff because, you know, a box opening footage is kind of boring and surely listening to me talk would be less boring than that, right? Anyway, so this may not be the main focus of this box considering it's not on the cover, but one thing I want to bring up is the introduction of the archetype centered around Medius, or in this current case, Art Magia. It feels like the spiritual successor to Branded in a way because it focuses on this one specific monster and it branches out to a bunch of different archetypes. Those of you from the TCG may not be aware of it yet, but Art Magia actually follows up into another archetype called Dooms, where the two archetypes have very little in common, but they both have some synergy with Medius. So we're definitely looking at Medius as the next spiritual successor to both Elbas and, in a way, Visas as well. Although Visas was, thematically speaking, a lot more diverse in a way, or rather a lot more constricted to the main protagonist, because Visas was kind of at the center of every single archetype in that way. But for the Branded storyline, it involved a bunch of different archetypes, which in the case of Art Magia and Dooms, Medius seems to be at the center of everything. We also have single non-archetypal, technically generic support, but it's mainly aimed at the three archetypes from the previous deck build pack. So we have Secretarian Dragon, we have Valon, Ukano Mitsune no Onari, which is a link support, primarily aimed at Yami. I don't think I've seen anything else use it yet. Onari and Secretarian did not make a big splash for Yami and Dragon Tail specifically, but Valon has done quite a bit for VS. There's also Lunar Lights, there's also Sky Strikers of course, but there's also support for things like Mitsurugi. So if you're a player from the TCG, you're already familiar with what Mitsurugi is. Mitsurugi Raizio being an actual contender for top spots in the meta. But for OCG players, Mitsurugi has not been released in the OCG yet. So the impact it has here is only something that we can barely predict, but we don't know for sure. But at the same time, the ban list has also hurt Raizio in a different way in the OCG compared to the TCG. So whether or not Mitsurugi Raizio will become a thing here in the OCG when it finally releases later this year is something that we'll have to see. Something else to note is that for existing support, so what we call legacy support, Skull Servants also got a buff in this set, which is very amusing. Because Skull Servant has always been that kind of like a cult favorite kind of card. There are a fair number of people who still play Skull Servants till this day. It's not a weak archetype by any means, but it's a deck that you really have to be proficient at piloting. But at the same time, it's also very funny because it's a vanilla monster. It's a weak, low-level vanilla monster that somehow manages to put out a card that can, while being a level 1, can put out like about 12,000 attack and swing for game. Similarly, Monarchs have also gotten buffs. Utopia has gotten buffs. Speaking of funny support for older, weaker cards, Hungry Burger also got support in this set. Now, Hungry Burger was one of those things where it was kind of a joke that was being tagged on to Nouvelles of all things. So back when Nouvelles was returned, they had a card that functioned with Hungry Burger. I mean, the trap was good, but Hungry Burger was bad, so you didn't really want to run it. But they decided to go all in and just use a card that just completely replaces Hungry Burger for some reason. I mean, it's funny, I'm not gonna lie. Similarly, they've also given support for generic psychics. Well, it's not exactly an archetype by itself. Generic psychics have always been a thing where they've used it as a giant engines kind of deck where they just bring out different kinds of synchros over the years. This sort of give them a bit of a focus to merge both synchros and fusions. A powered out version of Exxon Kicker, for example. Similarly, we've also seen support for everybody's favorite Power Rangers archetype. Am I allowed to say that? Do we have to worry about copy strike for this? Anyway, Super Quantums also got buffed in this set. Super Quantums have a sort of a legacy in Yu-Gi-Oh! For being, I guess, difficult to win games with, I guess you could say. Mainly because their boss monster is difficult to come out. It's strong, yes, but when Kaijus got released, it just kind of became Kaiju bait in that sense. So it's quite interesting to see what they'll do with it in this set. Based on TCG support, we are looking at additional stuff for RB, we are looking at stuff for Mitsurugi. All of these are stuff that the TCG has that the OCG has yet to port over. Now, whether or not we'll see meta relevance for these archetypes has yet to be seen. TCG functions with different band lists, with different play styles. So it's a bit difficult to predict exactly how you'll go down in OCG, but I think having the option to experiment is always a nice touch. I believe you could use some of it in other archetypes as well. For example, Mitsurugi can be experimented on in Sky Strikers as well. It's not the main playstyle for Sky Strikers to be sure, but it's definitely a fun avenue to try. Similarly, with the existing support in OCG, it also allows you to sort of theory craft how you want to build Dooms when it comes out in the TCG, for example. Because as it stands right now, Art Magia as an archetype does function on its own for the most part, but being able to mix in Dooms for the additional flexibility, kind of like how Visa's Law branched out into Kashtira, it is its own set, yes, and it is its own deck for sure. But at the same time, being able to mix and match cards from different archetypes or what is supposed to be a different archetypes just based on their law connection is actually a pretty fun idea, I think. But I think if you're a TCG player, if you're an OCG player as well, I guess, the power buff to Vanquish Soul this set is something that you'll be looking at quite a bit. So Vanquish Soul got quite a bit of support in the current set, but where they really shine is where they get mixed with VS. So the infamous VS K9 deck that terrorized OCG for quite a bit. Well, right now it's a bit more balanced with VS K9 and Yami. Vanquish Soul having the additional support, specifically Holy Su, for example, it really just elevated the deck. Vanquish Soul didn't see that much meta representation when it first released, but now, finally, it's back, it's kicking, and it's really kicking everyone's ass.
So I've just finished opening the boxes, and here's the list of cards that we've put. Your Sky Striker A0 and a Gaga Gaga as secret. From what I've heard, TCG cards products have not been doing very well recently. So for example, I think this card was around 50 euros on release, and now it's about 15. Personally, as an OCG player, I think it's alright. Like I believe for OCG, Sky Striker A0 was an ultimate rare only, and it was around 30 to 20 SGD. So the box price was about 50, but yeah, you wouldn't make back your box either way. So unless you hit the PSR, of course, which unfortunately we didn't. But we got two secrets, which I'm not sure if that's normal for TCG rarity, but yeah, both are quite cute. So I actually opened another box, Maze of the Masters, off camera, because it was for fun. Just to show, these are my hits. So I got a number 107 Galaxy Ice Tachyon Dragon, QSR, and Jellyfish. So yeah, I was kind of shocked when I realized Prulia was more expensive than this QSR by like 2 times. It was a shocker to me, because I think this card in the OCG is quite expensive. I believe it's around 80 SGD. I can't confirm, but it's definitely not as low as, I think it was like 15 or 20 euros. Yeah, this is like 50, I think, around 50 or 40 euros. So yeah, I was quite shocked. So yeah, that'll be all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully we can produce more content. So yeah, see you.